Oh, you know what I love?
Sports.
Love sports.
Sports. When
it comes to
Texas A&M.
Where are you getting this information?
let me tell you.
Welcome to TexAgs.
TexAgs Live.
I feel like I should be listening to the theme song from the Jeffersons. You know, we're moving on up.
We will develop men, we will graduate players, and we will win championships on the field.
The best way for us to win is to do it together.
He is a guy that has gotten better and better and better. He's just got that dog in him.
It's been special. The 12th man this past week was unbelievable.
And this is a real program. It's not fake. This is a real place. And if you want to be really good at football, this is a really good place to be.
You know, if I'm betting on anybody, it's the Aggies. So someone on the boards asked if I would stay up past 10 p.m. in Las Vegas. Obi, you've traveled with me. I stay up past 10 p.m. all the time.
Oh, shoot. I've seen it. I don't know how many times you've been up to, quarter to 11.
At least.
Yeah.
By the way, football games are typically at night for Texas A&M, so I'm definitely
That's
up past
true.
11, or 10 o'clock, I should say. The Las Vegas Bowl, it is kind of, we knew it was coming.
Yeah, but apparently the SEC didn't.
I just saw
Because
that.
I was just looking at the SEC, their webpage, and I went to the bowl games, the matchups, and they have them all except A&M. They just left A&M out. Typical SEC.
OB calls me over. He goes, hey, am I crazy? Tell me what you noticed here. I was like, I don't see A&M. He's like, yeah, exactly. I don't see A&M. They weren't listed. But I like the matchup. I like the idea of playing a name program. I like the idea of going to Vegas. I wanted Florida, but I'll take Vegas. Vegas was in the mix. I think
It's warm.
Yeah, it is warm. It was in your top. It was your number one, right?
I would rather go to Tampa.
Tampa, oh, that's
which
right.
is awesome.
Yeah.
But Las Vegas probably, and then I would have said Orlando, I guess. So I'm with you. I like going to Florida, but Las Vegas would definitely be in my top three, and it's, photo finish. So I'm fine with Vegas. I'm going to have a good time. I'll probably release my inner derelict and spend some time at the blackjack tables and do the things you do in Vegas.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to it. It's the interesting thing about this matchup is, like, when you look at the totality of the season, A&M has taken on some programs, buddy. Like, obviously, it comes with some programs when you play in the SEC. The expansion of the SEC added Texas to the schedule, but you start off with Notre Dame, you end with USC. I think if you want matchups, you got them this year.
Yeah, well, if you like brands,
Yeah.
And you say, hey, any team that's going to play in one season, Notre Dame, USC, Texas, and LSU, just off the top of your head, that's pretty impressive schedule. Now, is it vintage USC? No, but it's not vintage A&M either. I like the matchup, like you say. It's a big name program, even if they have their issues. But that said, they almost beat Notre Dame.
Yeah.
I think it was a couple pick sixes failed them late. The thing about the bowl game is you wonder who's going to play, and you wonder who wants to play.
Well, I was thinking to myself, defensive line. Who's going to play on the defensive line? Because you got, I think, 3 guys in the portal. 3 of the guys could be in the NFL draft. That's a lot of your defensive line right there. There are guys, but I'm just saying that A&M, it won't be as hard as it was last year.
Yeah, the venue might help.
Venue might help, yeah.
Yeah, because you're like, well, hey, if you're not playing, there's no point in you making the trip with us.
Mm-hmm.
And so, well,
do you think 18 to 22-year-olds look at Vegas the way 60-year-old derelicts do?
No, I think 21 to
22
to do. Yeah, I think it's an exciting place and people want to go.
Yeah.
Now, again, is it if you got an agent in your ear or even a advisor and a family in your ear saying, "No, you don't need to play," and that I think that's who they typically look to, and that's why I'll always have even more respect for Christian Kirk and Myles Garrett, 2 guys that knew they'd be a high draft choice and played anyway.
And they played
because,
anyway.
Hey, this is my team.
But we're in a different college football world, aren't we? Like, to where there's so much outside noise that are affecting what these kids do.
Well,
and you have agents now that at all levels.
Yeah, I think it's kind of sad, but I understand it to a certain degree. It will be interesting to see who plays. Last year, it was the secondary that bailed on A&M, and so they were just trying to find guys. They were playing freshmen and walk-ons and whatnot. Who knows? But you know what? USC may even have a greater issue with that.
They might.
Who's going to be their quarterback? Miller Moss is in the
kid who was playing the last few weeks, I think, will be.
I have to admit, I haven't been. I don't spend a lot of time analyzing USC.
Well, both programs had starting quarterbacks that got a lot of fanfare heading into the season that both got benched.
Yeah. Look, I think it'll be great to close your season. It's not quite the same because I've always said that you're never a true SEC team until you're never fully vested.
Until you beat a Big Ten team?
Until you beat a Big Ten team.
And this is not a Big Ten team, right?
Yeah. That I don't know if USC counts. I think it's got to be in Florida almost.
Yeah.
But
and it's got to be a team that's been in the Big Ten for years.
A real Big Ten team. That said, if you can beat Lincoln Riley, that's always going to be nice. And it's kind of the Longstreet kid, remind him what he could have been getting into. So there's reasons to be interested in this game. One
of the things I mentioned to Billy yesterday was A&M recruits so well out west. Like, this is another opportunity to be in front of those kids. And also a program you've gone head-to-head with, as you mentioned, you lost Hassan Longstreet to them.
Yeah. And, historically, you've never beat them. I think you're 0-3 against them historically, including, of course, I remember the disappointing 75 season. They didn't even want to play. And I don't blame the Aggies in that one, I can see why, as a fan, you would get excited about this game. It's USC, it's a name, all the things we just talked about. And it still comes back, you wonder what's going through the minds of the players that have the option of whether or not they want to play. Hopefully they want to play because it's the last time to play with your teammates. But priorities, we'll see.
When's the last time A&M, I know you know the answer, the last time A&M won a bowl game?
The last time A&M won a bowl game?
Mm-hmm.
Has it been that long? I mean, I know they lost last year. And then one year they didn't play. Surely it's not the Orange Bowl, is it?
It's the Orange Bowl. Because the next year they didn't play in the Gator Bowl.
Jimbo just didn't want to play.
Then they didn't make a bowl.
Yeah, and then last year losing to Oklahoma State.
Yeah.
Change
that number. I win. To me, I'm sorry, OB. I don't know why I apologize. 9 will make this season feel a lot. It doesn't. I know. This is one thing I want to stop doing that we all do. That I don't know if you do it, but I do it for sure. Is qualifying. I know we didn't I know it didn't end the way we wanted to, but yeah, that's been established. But 9 wins, 9-4, opening year for Mike Elko feels a lot better than 8-5. A lot better.
Because A&M just doesn't have that many 9-win seasons. I think Jimbo's first year was a 9-win season. The good year was a 9-1, but that's deceiving because they only played 10 games. I think in 2013, they went 9-4 by winning the bowl game over Duke when Johnny went crazy. And then before that, I think Franchione had maybe one 9-win season. Now, RC used to do it all the time. In fact, 9-win was almost disappointing for a while there with RC and Jackie, but RC got fired for. Maybe that's one. There's a.
Is the curse the RC curse?
The RC, but except that RC would never hold that against the A&M.
No, I saw that RC posted "Happy Birthday" to Gabe Bach. So Gabe Bach, happy birthday!
Happy birthday!
And you just had a birthday, my friend.
I did. That's why I'm wearing this cool old Sarge hoodie that I was given. Irwin gave me for.
I like the material on that.
Yeah. So 63.
Happy birthday, buddy!
Thank you. It was a good day.
What'd you do?
It was pretty low key. I did what I wanted to do. I watched a lot of
college football,
and then we went out to one of my favorite restaurants. I think RC's son might be part owner of it.
Oh, yeah.
The 1860.
Yeah.
So that's one of my favorites. And so went there with some friends, and it was nice.
All right. Billy and I talked a lot about it yesterday. I'd love to get your thoughts. What did you think of the college football playoff bracket?
I think, first of all, I don't have a major problem with the matchups. I really don't. But, and it's so coincidental how, I mean, you could have just almost bet that they'd find a way to put Notre Dame and Indiana together. And Texas and Clemson, because Clay come next from Austin and all. You know, isn't it funny how
things work out?
There's always these
storylines
and I just don't believe it's coincidental.
I think number 1 seed Oregon got the toughest draw. As the number 1 team, you're going to face either Tennessee or Ohio State in the next round. I understand where they were seated, but because of that, that's the hardest matchup in the second round.
Yeah, I agree.
Because if Georgia plays Notre Dame, that'll be a tough matchup, especially not knowing the quarterback situation, Carson Beck's situation. Boise State, I mean, they have, to me, you get Penn State or SMU. And Texas, pretty favorable first 2 rounds, in my opinion. You got to beat Clemson, and I don't think Clemson's very good. I like Clemson. I love Dabo Swinney.
I would pick Texas in that game.
And then Arizona State.
And I would pick Texas, but, man, I was really impressed with Arizona State. I hadn't seen a lot of them. I'd seen a little bit, one night game.
Yeah.
Man.
Scattaboo.
Cam Scattaboo. And I can't, but if somehow, miraculously, I had a son,
Scattaboo Buchanan?
I think I named him Scattaboo.
You could do that if you ever get another
not
dog.
Cam.
No, just Scattaboo. Scattaboo.
I'll call him Scat for short.
What we used to have Rock Delier, right?
Yeah, Rock Delier.
And now we can have Scattaboo.
Scattaboo.
Scats Buchanan. Scatty Scats.
Scatterbuck.
But do you think SMU should have gotten in over Alabama?
I don't have a problem with it.
I don't have a problem with it either.
If SMU and Alabama played,
Alabama wins.
I would pick Alabama. But somebody could say, yeah, well, how you done on your picks this year, guy? And I could say, not very well.
Right.
So what? And, I don't have a major issue with it. In fact, I think Ole Miss, of all the teams that were involved in that, the 3-team tie there, I think Ole Miss would have been the team I thought was the best one. But
they got 3 losses.
But they got 3 losses, and I really don't think you should be. I really don't think you should be penalized
for a conference
losing
championship.
in a conference championship game.
Yeah, and I know that. By the way, I agree with Greg Byrne about considering how he's going to schedule in the future because of this. But Alabama is not in because of what they scheduled in the non-conference.
Yeah, their non-conference schedule was pretty weak.
They played Oklahoma. They lost to Oklahoma and they lost to Vanderbilt.
Yeah,
that's why they're out.
In non-conference, what was Wisconsin's record this year? Like 5-7?
They were not good.
So you played Wisconsin. You played South Florida. They weren't.
I understand the premise overall.
Yeah, but if you're going to make that, if you're going to cry about that, cry when you've played Notre Dame.
Well, like A&M. Who, by the way, I don't think should be in the playoffs, obviously, by their 8-4 record. Even if they would have not played Notre Dame, if they were 9-3, had they played whoever, right? I still think the 3 losses at the end of the season would have been too much to overcome.
Probably. I doubted any team with 3 losses would get in, right? And I'd said that all along. But I do think you have to take into account the strength of schedule. My point is that, and in the strength of schedule, I think that non-conference means your non-conference. I put a little more weight if you played somebody really tougher in non-conference as well. Because we can always talk about how great the SEC is, but what if it's a down year and we don't even know it?
Right,
we find out, right? But you see a team like A&M that had played Notre Dame. You see a team like Georgia that had played Clemson. That didn't seem great, but they're in the playoff, right? That's different than when you played, your big non-conference game was against a Michigan or against a Wisconsin, right? You see where I'm going?
Yeah, agree.
So I could still buy into the idea that if you've played a really challenging schedule like Georgia did. If Georgia had been 9-3, I'd have had no trouble with it.
Right. Agree. 100%. Hey, by the way, this is TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We're in the Rollo Insurance Studio. It is the Go Hour presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations. David Nuño, Olin Buchanan here on Monday, December 9th, 2024. We are currently hanging out in the Holistic Planning Cool Zone. What do they do there?
They do investments.
Yeah.
They help you with your taxes. Help you with your estate. And if you, going back to those investments, if you want to invest in a pro sports team in some way, they can broker that deal for you.
Investinprosports.com.
That'd be cool.
That would be cool. That's why we're in the cool zone.
Yeah.
If you want to be a part of the conversation, you can call us up, 979-693-1150. We'll pick it up on the Boss Firearms hotline. You could text us as well. I think we're having some issues with our text line, but text it. We'll try to get to it here momentarily. We go around the room and say hi to the people. We say hi to Nick Savage. Nick, good morning, buddy.
Howdy, good morning, y'all.
What's up?
Well, I'm excited about that bowl game. That's kind of what we all know bowl season to be, know and love, right? You get these fun matchups, and I agree with y'all completely. 9 wins feels a lot different than 8 wins, so hopefully they can do that. But I think the thing that I'm looking forward to most from now till then is how many puns are we going to get from Olin Buchanan about this game?
What puns would you have for this game, OB?
I don't know.
Nick, what are you thinking, buddy?
Well, I don't.
Where are you going with that?
I don't know. I've heard some in reference to USC this season alone. So I'm just curious to see where Olin takes
the Trojans.
If the
Vegas.
Aggies somehow pick up Alex Orji in the in the transfer portal, then maybe. But I don't know if it works the same.
Yeah, is it Orji in the portal?
No,
okay.
not to my knowledge.
But if he went in the portal.
But I don't know if it sets up the same thoughts when you have Marcel Reed.
I really wish Miller Moss were playing because I remember in the beginning of the season, that was a name that just rolled off your tongue.
Miller Moss. I did love Miller Moss.
You did love it.
I had him in my Heisman rankings at one point.
That's right, you did.
I wish, here's what I wish. I wish it was Miller Moss and Le'Veon Moss.
Moss versus Moss.
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 No Moss.
No.
Now it is no Moss.
Yeah, you're right about that. Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Jackson Oxney in the house. Jackson, good morning.
Good morning. How are you guys?
Good.
I'm all right. Yeah.
Why just all right?
I'm on like day 6 of no caffeine, and it's just I missed the extra perk.
Okay. What's the reasoning for that?
Couple things. Mental challenge to try to get through. Also, I was told to lower my caffeine intake, and I'm like, all right, I'm going 0. So
yeah, I think the FDA suggests 400 milligrams.
400 milligrams. Right? That's right. Yeah, and I was probably at 600. So I'm well below the last week.
I have to admit, I never know the number of milligrams I take in for anything.
OB, if you want to learn the science, I can do a whole segment on it right now for you.
I think I'm already lost cause.
By the way, by 10 o'clock in the morning, you should have your last cup of coffee if you want to go to bed like a normal human being. Sorry, Jackson, take over, please.
No, it's okay. I love talking about health and wellness too. So,
future podcast here on TexAgs Live.
The Texas A&M volleyball team upset number 3 seed Arizona State to punch their ticket to the NCAA tournament.
We should have led with that. Freaking Jamie Morrison.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
What 2 years ago they weren't even in the tournament.
Yeah.
And then last year they got in, but they got put up with the national champ, right?
Yep.
And now 2 years into his tenure, and he's already got them on the Sweet 16. Who they play next?
They play Nebraska. Oh, wait, no, they will head to Lincoln, Nebraska, where they would face number 2 seed Wisconsin.
Oh, okay.
Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Badgers.
All right, give us some particulars from the weekend from them, please.
From volleyball?
Yes, please.
Yeah. It's the program's first trip to the Sweet 16 in 5 years. Are you saying you want some statistics?
Yeah, whatever notes. Just give us some notes.
Whatever you got.
I honestly don't.
Okay.
I don't
then
have
move on. What do you got
specific
next?
statistics from the game. I do remember looking, though, and Katie Ledecky had, I don't want to butcher it.
A bunch.
She had a lot of kills.
She kills fools.
She had a lot of kills. I remember it was a very high number, close to 30.
Yeah.
But I got some Aggie hoops.
All right. I was there.
The number 22 ranked Aggies grinded out a 72-67 victory over Texas Tech. A&M hit 8 of 8 from the free throw line in the final 27 seconds of the game.
Yeah. Typical A&M type of victory, where they grinded out. We'll talk more about it in the next segment, but it felt like an A&M type of game. Like that's what it felt like. They just offensive rebounded you to death. They forced you to turn over. Their offense wasn't necessarily great, but they found ways to score and win.
When they had to have it,
they got it.
They got it.
They got it.
Wade Taylor.
Wade Taylor down the stretch. That's what he does.
That's what he does.
He does that. All right, we're going to hit a break here. When we come back, we'll talk about that Aggie basketball team. Then we're going to just talk a little more about this bowl game throughout the hour here on the Go Hour. Right now, though, PrizePicks.com. I was sitting with Billy, and he was paying attention to his Prize Picks. He was having a great weekend.
Really?
Yeah, I'll have him share however he did.
Yeah, Billy needs more money.
He was having a very good weekend. You can have a good weekend as well. PrizePicks.com/TexAgs. Use the code TexAgs to get $50. Once you play in $5 lineups, 2 to 6 player stat projections, choose more than or less than. It's super simple. You'll figure it out as you go, but you'll just pick those players and just watch the games, and hopefully it goes exactly the way you want it to so you can make that money. Again, it is PrizePicks.com/TexAgs. Use the code TexAgs to get those $50 once you play in $5 lineups. It's PrizePicks. We're back here on TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We're in the Rollo Insurance Studio. It is the Go Hour, presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations, OB David Nuño.
Hey, David, can I jump in right quick?
You can jump in as long as you want.
Because I forgot to listen. Want to wish a happy birthday to my friend Christian Juarez. He's this
What's up, Christian?
He's a gentle giant. That's he and his mother and Irma went to college together at Berkeley, and he just graduated from Cal Riverside.
All right.
And part of this celebration is they wanted to come to Texas, so they're visiting us right now. And I think we're going to go throw axes tonight.
Okay.
Yeah. So hey, Christian, glad you're here and happy birthday. Gig 'em, Christian.
Hey, Christian, come by studio sometime. We'd love to show you around. So awesome.
All right, so let's move on.
Shamar Stewart.
Shamar Stewart.
Off to the NFL, ladies and gentlemen. And if you go to his Instagram page, he's got a long Dear Aggieland. And it's very nice. I was reading through it. He goes on to thank his family, obviously, his coaches, his teammates, singles out Coach Elko and Coach Fisher. Special shout out to Coach Spencer, Coach Tony and BGA. And then he goes, one I must honor is Coach Terry Price, teammates, brothers, all the fans at A&M. But he's going to take his talents to the NFL. I kind of expect that he's got NFL measurables.
The measurables are going to blow everybody away. I think Shamar Stewart had the for lack of a better word, I'll just put it best, most pivotal, whatever defensive play of the season. And that was, you'll remember, against Arkansas. I think A&M was down, but Arkansas had the ball at the 10, and he comes flying in from the right side as Taylor Green, and I can't remember who the running back was. Jackson, I guess?
Jarquez Hunter? No, sorry, not
Jackson.
Yes, Jaquindon Jackson.
Jaquindon Jackson. I think it was that. But anyway, they're making that exchange, and he comes basically tackles them both, blows up the exchange. The ball's fumble, A&M recovers at the 10, scores the tying touchdown, and controls the game right after that.
That's right.
I think that was the biggest defensive play of the season for A&M. And I wish him the best. He's a nice young man, a very intimidating, imposing presence.
But so nice. Oh, my goodness. He is such a nice man.
And, hopefully when he gets into the NFL, he'll have a long, successful career.
I would not be surprised to see that. So Shamar Turner, obviously going to, his time is probably up. I mean, I think eligibility is up, right? You've got Nick Scorton, who most felt was going to the NFL draft. It'd be interesting to see what his decision he makes. I think he could benefit from another year, although he was listed as a guy that could be a first-round pick initially. Right. I don't know if the end of the season will kind of derail those thoughts.
Yeah. It'll be interesting because I think a lot of guys, if you got eligibility, look, if you're getting a first round or even a first and second round grade, I get it. Go on to the NFL if that's your dream, sure. But if not, especially now that you can make NIL money, it makes so much sense to come back.
Sure does.
And see if you can't improve your drafts, because the difference in the money from first and second round is just astronomical.
Well, and we've seen it sometimes with some Aggies that get drafted in the fourth or fifth round, and if you're not a guarantee to make that roster. And then what? Right?
We've seen that happen. But we've also, we got to look at the other side. We've also seen a guy like Tyrell Dodson go in early. I thought it was a mistake, but he made the team as a free agent, and he's still playing.
He's still playing. But I think with the way,
but he didn't have NIL,
and that's my point. With the way NIL is here, it would behoove you to play. Now, if you're a guy that is probably a second round pick,
first or second round pick,
then I think you're like, all right, if I get hurt here, what's going to look like? But if you come to A&M, you can raise your draft status, and at the very least, make some money while you're doing it.
Does A&M still get the insurance policies for the players? They were the first to do that. A&M set a precedent, like A&M often does,
right,
of getting the insurance policies for players in case they're injured.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like they were doing that maybe in the late or the early 2000s.
Yeah,
maybe even before.
I don't know.
I know A&M was the trendsetter in that.
So I'd love to have Nick back. I really would. I would love another year of Nick. I don't know if that's even realistic, though.
To me, if you get a player for more than 3 seasons, if he's good, you just consider it a bonus. Yeah. I go in with the idea that I expected Shamar Stewart, even though I think he'd be better served to come back. But I expect him to go out because it's just the way it is. It's too much temptation to ignore.
Yeah.
So I'll say this: if you get Nick Scorton back, it'll be a huge surprise and a huge bonus.
I would not bet on it because we've seen this story before, right? Players that are been named as a potential first rounder, right? At some point during the season. Once that gets in your head, it's very hard to not think, like, I'm going to show them at the combine. I'm going to show them exactly what I'm about. I'm going to go from maybe a mid-second rounder to a first rounder. So there is that. It's very hard when your name is mentioned in it. Selfishly, I like the kid. I'd like to see another year of him. I think he could benefit from another year with Coach Elko. I think Coach Elko's defenses are always better in the second year than they are in the first year. If you just look at his time here at A&M, his second year was better than his first year.
And will the fact that he struggled to get to the quarterback in the last half of the season, will that affect his draft status? I mean, do you drop from the first round to the second round? Now, it's still make a great living in the second round, but again, the difference in signing bonus money is astronomical.
Right.
And so, but you know what? It's his decision to make, and it's his life.
When I was his age, I couldn't wait for the next phase of my life. I just couldn't wait. Like, I'm ready. Like, I was ready to graduate and move on. I didn't want to stay in college a little bit longer, although in retrospect, it would have been nice to have had another semester or two. But I was ready.
So you were the anti-Hayden Schott.
Yeah, I was the anti-Hayden Schott. When it was time to go, it was time to go.
I kind of like Hayden Schott's idea. Hey, I can stay in college another year. Sure.
I can't believe he was here with AC Law such a long time ago. I'm kidding.
I keep coming back to that line from, what is it, the movie Tommy Boy?
Yeah.
Remember that? And he says, hey, lots of people go to school for 7 years. Yeah, they're called doctors.
All right, we'll hit a break here. We'll come back. We'll get to basketball. 1775, veteran and family owned. They've got prime meats, and the meats are so good.
They're prime.
They're prime. And the meats.
Yeah, I love meat.
Yeah, I know you do.
Especially well-prepared meat.
Well-prepared
smoked meat.
Smoked.
Like some of that smoked brisket or those, you know what I like. You know what I like. It's those pork ribs. But and even the sausage. Love all of that. But I also got to have the queso mac and cheese with it.
Look, I know we talk about it every time we do this spot, but it was that it left such an impact on my life.
That's why.
Yeah, there's certain foods that you taste them like, I don't want to go anywhere else but be right here.
Yeah, I mean it's spectacular.
It is spectacular, and the people are great too. Like maybe I could lead with that because I love Brad and Brandon and the whole crew. So you want to check out 1775? They're open Thursday through Saturday, 11 a.m. until they're sold out. Online ordering turns off at 10 a.m. 8203 Raymond Southern Parkway in College Station, 979-492-6241, or check out 1775txbbq.com.
What's up, TexAgs? This commercial break is brought to you by my good friends over at Aggieland Chevrolet, the official automotive sponsor of TexAgs.com and me, Billy Liucci. Greg Gunn is the proud owner of Aggieland Chevrolet and invites you to visit the dealership to experience true Aggie hospitality. From their friendly staff to the experienced service team, Aggieland Chevrolet is TexAgs approved. Check out the dealership off of Highway 6 in Bryan or go to AggielandChevrolet.com and tell them Billy Liucci sent you by.
And we are back on TexAgs Live. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers in the Rollo Insurance Studio, the Go Hour, presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. Obi, we touched on it. Let's talk a little Aggie basketball.
Let's talk about it.
Because 4 straight wins. I know that Texas Tech wasn't at full strength, but you were telling me you were there at Dickey's Arena. It felt like a Texas Tech home crowd.
It did. I mean, Texas Tech probably their fans probably outnumbered the A&M fans, I'd say 3 or 4 to 1.
Yeah.
They were very loud. They booed whenever they show the Aggie fans on the Jumbotron or whatever, they would boo them vehemently. Even the, like, one time they showed like a kid, he looked like he was 5 years old and they're booing him. So it did feel like a Texas Tech home game. And yes, their leading scorer was out, but they had 3 other guys that are averaging in double figures. And they are I think they entered that game as the 15th leading scoring team, highest scoring team in the country, averaging, I think, 86.7 points a game, something around there.
Yeah.
So they were a formidable opponent. 7-1, and had just beaten DePaul without, I think, I can't think of the kid's name right now. I can't. I'm sorry.
I really like Overton's game, by the way. Overton can play.
He can play.
He can hoop.
Toppin. Thank you. So I think that when they beat DePaul by like 15 points, I think Toppin wasn't playing in that game.
Right.
So, and A&M did what they do. They came out. There's a stretch where they look hot. Are you going to maybe they're going to blow them out? Well, no. Then they went cold for a while, and Texas Tech's too good an offensive team.
Yeah.
And then they came back, and then A&M, was able to maintain the lead for a while, and then had the lead at halftime. Texas Tech comes out strong, takes the lead. A&M comes back and gets the lead, gets it out to 10, and just like that, it's down to 2. They go into the last timeout, they come back, isolate Wade Taylor, boom, get the ball back, isolate Wade Taylor, boom, and then just play good defense and hold it down at the free throw line down the stretch. Big win, good win.
Huge win. And
a quad one.
What I liked, well, I don't even know if I liked about this game, but with this game, and I alluded to it in the first segment, it was just a typical A&M scrappy kind of win. You're going to double them up on rebounds. You're going to steal. You're going to force turnovers. You're going to probably struggle shooting the ball, but you're going to find ways to capitalize by attacking the rim, hopefully, or hitting some timely threes. And then when all else fails, let Wade Taylor be Superman for you. Give him the ball in the last few minutes. Let him do his magical stuff. And this particular night, he hit those back-to-back drives to the bucket, hit the free throws. Game was over.
Yeah. It was Wade with 4 free throws in the last 27 seconds. I think Henry Coleman had 2. And was it Manny? Somebody else had 2. Maybe it's Zerk Phelps. I'd have to consult my notes. But yeah, 8 for 8 in the final 27 seconds to nail it down. Texas Tech made a couple of threes late to keep it interesting, but I never thought A&M lost control.
Yeah, I thought a lot of the threes that Texas Tech hit, I was like, they're not going to make that, and they made them. Yeah. It was like those threes, I was okay with them taking that shot because I thought A&M was switching very well on defense.
How about Jace Carter? And one point, A&M, I think, had a 13-0 run or maybe 13-2 run, and they were all Jace Carter.
Yeah. 16 points on the day, but I think it was 13 in the first half.
Yeah, that was all in the first half.
Yeah.
Had a couple of threes, and now one of them he got a dunk on a breakaway, but it was Henry Coleman making this.
Beautiful
makes
play.
It steal on the sideline near the 3-point line on that Texas Tech goal, and he makes it. And as he's going out of bounds, he throws the ball
behind his back.
No look, and just gets it to Jace, who it's like, I don't know. It looked like he had eyes in his back of his head to make that throw, but it was just perfect. And Jace goes in and
I think it was the play of the game from a highlight perspective, but also kind of a quiet one that you forget for a moment.
Well, because had they from that point on went on and just dominated the game, but like Zerk Phelps, he hit a big 3, and I thought it was going to be a 4-point play, but it turned out to be a flagrant 1.
Yep.
And again, I need to consult my notes. Was it Jace Carter?
Jace Carter got
he made 1 of 2. And then they got the ball back, and I think they got fouled, made 1 of 2
again. Yes.
So instead of that could have been the biggest play of the day. because you had that opportunity to really extend the lead significantly. But instead, of course, you got that 10-point lead, I think it was, and then Texas Tech came back and cut it to 2, and that brings us back to Wade Taylor making those big plays.
Well, it sets up a huge matchup with Purdue on
It's the 14th, I think.
14th, excuse me.
11 a.m.
Yeah.
Up in Indianapolis on Saturday.
Huge game. Purdue just lost, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, but they're really good.
They're 8-2 on the year. Kaufman Renner? Is that right? Averaging 19 points a game. He's a baller.
If you can get that win, obviously a lot of work to do because you got the SEC schedule coming up, and it looks, we saw what happened in the ACC SEC challenge, and it looks like A&M's. It looks like they're winning the SEC Big 12 challenge after yesterday.
Yeah.
With Vanderbilt beating TCU and then A&M beating Texas Tech. So it's going to be a really difficult grind, like it obviously is. But if you can beat Purdue, man, you start thinking, is this a 3 seed?
Right.
Or better? That's the kind of win that's always stands out.
Well, to have, again, it started off with a little bit of a oh no start to the season, right?
Yeah.
Central Florida. And then an oh no matchup against Oregon. And this can evaporate quickly, by the way. You lose a couple games here, then you're back to feeling bad about yourself. But they've got a few quad one wins. And it seems like the arrow's pointing up this non-conference.
I think they're all the way up to number 32 in the net right now,
Yeah.
I think. And that's significant.
31st.
31, okay. See, I was even short on one.
Yeah.
And climbing. And gosh, can you imagine what their net ranking would be if they're able to get that win over Purdue?
Yeah.
But don't need to get, look, I'll be honest. Before the Wake Forest game, I was looking at the 3 games coming up, and I was like, man, if you can go 2-1, if you said right now you'll go 2-1, I was like, I'll take it.
Right.
Well, of course, now you get greedy, right? Oh, I'll take 2-1's in the bank. No, let's go for 3-0.
Let's go 3-0 and make it 5 straight wins. All right, we'll hit a break here. We'll come back with Around Aggieland. Right now, Lewis Engineering, they want to be your premier metal fabrication supplier. They've been around since 1961. Doug Lewis, class of 2004, is the 4th generation to own and operate Lewis Engineering. And his great-grandfather started it during the Vietnam War, and it's the place that has been taking care of so many different areas in this country, from the Defense Department, the aerospace, automotive industries, oil field industry, quality metal components, and they specialize in high-volume production as well as close-to-tolerance projects. And they invite you to outsource machining to a company that many Fortune 500 companies have trusted for the last 63 years. Feel free to call Doug right now and get a quote, 903-938-6754. That is 903-938-6754, or visit them at lewisengineeringco.com. And we're back on TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Let's go to the Holistic Planning Cool Zone for Around Aggieland, presented by Normandy State Bank. Normandy State Bank, rock solid banking. The website is normandystatebank.com. And with that, we have Kay Naegeli.
Well, y'all talked all about it, but A&M did accept an invitation to the SRS Distribution Bowl. It's funny how everything is so
the Las Vegas Bowl.
branded now.
SRS?
Okay. SRS Distribution
Vegas?
Las Vegas Bowl.
What does SRS mean?
Usually, I don't know. But usually when I'm
I like SRS.
When I'm Vegas, it's usually, SOL.
So SRS it is. All right. SRS Las Vegas Bowl.
Yes, we're going to have to type in headlines and everything, so get used to it. That is at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, Nevada. They will face USC, Lincoln Riley of the Big Ten on December 27th. That is a 9:30 Central Time kick. We're all going to get through it together. It may be rough. It'll be a long night, but hopefully there's an Aggie win on the other side on December 28th, if you will, because that will probably go through midnight. And I'm sure y'all are both so pleased about that.
I'm very excited about it. I am. Post-game show at what'll be
lately.
1 a.m. Houston or College Station time.
Nothing to me. I had to cover a night game at Auburn and then drive back to Birmingham and then catch a flight at 6 a.m.
I've done that with you before. I've done the Atlanta one. That
so
one
we
sucked.
can do it.
Yeah, it can be done.
Y'all will be all right. I want to get to the history of playing USC a little bit. It's not great.
Yeah, no.
A&M is 0-3 all time. They played in 1964, 1975, and 1977. A&M lost all of those games, unfortunately. So hopefully we can flip the script and have a 3-1 record.
The Aggies did not want to play in 75. You might remember that was the year that they were, I think, ranked number 1 after beating Texas, but they, for some reason, agreed to play Arkansas the next week and got beat. So they, instead of playing for the national championship, they went to the Liberty Bowl.
I'm glad you can inform me on that. I indeed do not remember.
Well, you weren't even thought about it.
No, not even.
But there is this thing called history books.
There is, and that's why I looked it
learn.
up this morning, Obi, because I was curious,
All
Anyways,
right,
also, the transfer portal opens up today, so we will have a lot of news and stuff coming on that front. I know plenty of Aggies have entered already, but A&M is also going to start hosting visitors. Again, that opened up today, so should be interesting to follow that. On the men's basketball front, they have now won 4 straight games as the 22nd ranked Aggies took down Texas Tech on a neutral floor on Sunday in Fort Worth. Next up, they will also have a road trip. That is confirmed a neutral site game in Indianapolis, but they play Purdue, which is about an hour from their campus. That will be on Saturday, December 14th at 11 a.m. That's an early one.
It is an early one.
OB feels some type of way about the hour away from Purdue's campus.
I've actually covered games at Purdue.
Have you?
I have. I covered the Old Oaken bucket game against Indiana.
Okay.
When Drew Brees was the senior, and I covered some basketball at Purdue.
All right.
And it's a little more than an hour.
Okay.
But not a lot.
Okay.
Not a lot. You're just roughly an hour. You're on
in the general range.
You're on it, yeah. In West Lafayette, but there's no East Lafayette, and there's no Lafayette. It's kind of like North Zulch. There's no Zulch.
Obi, you just kill me. We're going to move to some women's basketball. Unfortunately, they fell yesterday on Sunday to number 13 Kansas State. They were picked preseason to win the Big 12, so that is a good program over there. They are now 5-5 with just 2 non-conference games remaining, which they will have Texas Southern on Monday, and then SEC play begins, just in January, right around the corner, on January 2nd. And then moving over, I should have led with this, volleyball, Jamie Morrison and company just absolutely killing it right now. They're still dancing and reached the Sweet 16 for the first time since 2019. Logan Lednicki had an absolute career night, 27 kills for the All-SEC first-teamer, 11 digs, and hit an incredible 500 clip. Those are phenomenal numbers for an NCAA tournament game, let alone a volleyball match. She has just been lights out this year. As they knocked off Arizona State, they had only lost 2 games previously. That was a huge win. They will face 2-seed Wisconsin on Friday night at 6 p.m. Make sure you turn your TVs on and support Jamie Morrison's Aggies because they are having a heck of a year.
KK, thank you very much.
Of course.
OB, did you cover Glenn Robinson at Purdue?
I remember watching him.
He was a beast.
I did not.
Big Dog. That was his nickname, right?
I actually was there in Purdue to cover a women's game.
Okay.
They had a player from Copper's Cove named Sharika Wright that if you follow women's basketball, and I did then because it was a job, everybody knew her. She was a big national name. I believe.
Sharika Wright.
Sharika Wright. Her dad was in the military.
Okay.
And I was actually covering Texas at the time, and they won. They beat them, though.
Obi, thank you, buddy.
Yeah, it's good. Hey, transfer portal. You know why? Keys. Key. Dane Key.
Oh, I see what you did
That's
there.
what I want.
I was like, keys to the portal? What?
Dane Key, receiver from Kentucky.
Get him on campus.
Dane Key. Yeah, if you can get him here, there's a great chance
you'll sell him here.
Yeah.
Obi, thank you, sir.
All right.
When we come back on TexAgs Live, Tom Hart, Billy Liucci, Buzz Williams, and you. It's TexAgs Live. We'll be back in a bit. Write it down. We're going to Vegas. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Let's go to the Boss Firearms Hotline. We're joined by Tom Hart of the SEC Network and ESPN. Tom, what's up, buddy?
Good morning, David. How are you today?
I'm all right. It's interesting. I wasn't excited about Vegas before Vegas was announced. Like when they were showing the potential locations for A&M, I was like, really want a beach. I don't like the idea of Tampa. I like Orlando is not a beach town, but not far. Like I was thinking more tropical in that environment. I think Vegas would be fun though.
You can find whatever you want in Vegas. Like if you want to tropical field, and you can find that. I'm sure. Like, it's your playground.
It is. I'm not a gambler. I'm not a drinker, so I just feel lost in Vegas when I go. But that's all right. I'm intrigued by the matchup with USC, not because USC's had a great season, but just two programs battling it out there in the West Coast. I think it'll be fun.
Have you ever seen Carrot Top live? Is he still performing?
No, but I'm interested in his workout regimen. He used to be pretty jacked.
Yeah. I think we know what the workout regimen involves. Carve it till it looks good. He's actually really, really funny live. Like I went years ago. It was hysterical. I like it. This is a name brand matchup. I think it's really cool. I think USC is a fantastic storyline. The whole Lincoln Riley experiment, and then all of these other rumors coming out that he may be, looking to bounce, and could somebody else hire him? That entire scenario. It goes to show that just building a program is not as easy as it seems, right? I mean, under Pete Carroll, they were as close as you could get to being a legacy team under Carroll, and with all the talent that they had, all the guys they put Heisman winners and the guys they put in the league. But they're a far cry from that era. And I think the Big Ten is hoping that they get back, but they seem to be a long ways away.
They aren't a Big Ten team to me. I know that it's brand new. Oregon has at least earned those stripes by getting the number 1 seed. I don't look at USC as a Big Ten team.
Oregon is a tough team, and maybe it was, of all people, McAfee that opened my eyes to this, because he's been talking about it nonstop the last, 3 days at least, if not longer. But their running backs run tough. Their defense is tough. They hit you. They certainly feel like they were built to be a Big Ten team. Actually, now I say that because what was that Ohio State-Michigan score? Was 13-10 was the final score. Like, that was very much a Big Ten stereotypical score. I actually think Oregon's built more like an SEC team. I mean, he has built a team that is tough, that hits you, and that has elite team speed. And that's why I'm fascinating to see. What a bad draw they got, though.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. Like, I don't have very many complaints. I think that, you shouldn't be allowed to lose 3 games and then demand a spot in a 12-team playoff. But I do think, as everybody does, we've got to revisit giving these buys to the top 4 conference champions when the disparity between, champion 2 and champion 3 is so great. And the contrast between your 4th champion and the 5th seed is also so great. It leads to an unbalanced bracket, and you don't want that from a competition standpoint.
So I'm looking at USC's schedule this year, Tom. Not that you watch a lot of USC football. I don't know if even people in LA were watching them. But, all these games are close. Penn State, they lose by 3. Penn State obviously has a great draw in the playoffs. They lose to Maryland, a little bad one there. The game against Notre Dame, it was a 14-point loss, but it was a tight game until the end. They squeaked by UCLA. They seem like a team, they barely lose to Washington, that they're in these games. They just haven't figured it out.
Yeah, I saw a good chunk of the Notre Dame game, and I was I root for playoff chaos generally, so I was really wanting USC to throw a wrench in everything and knock off Notre Dame that last day. I felt like they didn't belong in the same field as Notre Dame, so I did not. To your point, I don't know very many people, but yeah, I didn't sit down and watch the Washington game or the Penn State game. I think I saw a little bit of the Penn State game, but they're a mystery to me. I mean, and it's a mystery. Lincoln Riley's a mystery to me. I mean, even going back to Oklahoma and what he was trying to build, but being almost nonchalant about what you do defensively, and trying to build a winning program that way, that it didn't really add up to me. And they got off to a great start. I mean, I thought the LSU game was going to be one that kind of kick-started them and would send them on a really good season. But 3 weeks later, they lose to a very average Michigan team, and they just never seem to find their traction.
Talking to Tom Hart here on TexAgs Live. Tom, so we talked Vegas for a second. When's the last time you went to Vegas?
I was I was in Vegas probably 5 years ago. Was the last time I went out there to do a couple basketball games. Andy Kennedy was my partner, and just to peel back the curtain. Usually, when you travel for ESPN, you go through the travel service, and they have a hotel for you. And AK goes, "No, hey, listen, I got a hook up at the Aria. We're gonna stay at the Aria. We got this. Don't worry about it. I got you lined up." And the hotel was amazing, and Vegas was Vegas. I mean, it never seems to disappoint. It's always entertaining. It is always entertaining, and no one ever comes home from Las Vegas without a story. Maybe a good one. It may be a horrendous one, but everybody's got a story.
Hey, I want to go into the Oregon thing that you were mentioning a moment ago a little bit deeper, because I think they got screwed beyond putting the buys here and there. Just as the number one seed, to have your second matchup be, or excuse me, your first matchup be the winner of two teams that could have been in your top four seeds, right? Ohio State was so close. Yeah. I know you beat them head to head. Tennessee's a team that nobody talks about, but they're freaking 10-2 in the SEC. Like, that's your second round matchup. You look at Boise State, they may get Penn State or SMU. I mean, Georgia, I think, has an interesting matchup with potentially Notre Dame in the second round. Texas, if they get past Clemson, I think I like what Arizona State is doing. Of all the teams, Oregon has the toughest route,
without a doubt, and it's not deserved. I agree with you. Your Texas take. I mean, like, we all knew that the 5 seed was going to be in the catbird seat, because you get a home game against the 12 seed. Now, Clemson isn't your typical 12 seed, right? I mean, I think they're better than that. Given they haven't been better than that on the field, but given their playoff history and experience and the fact that they've been there, but you get an underperforming Clemson team on your home field, and then if you can stop the run against Arizona State, you get a pretty good chance of winning. I don't think Texas is going to put up 30 points anytime soon. I'm really actually disappointed in what they've done from an offensive production standpoint, but that's 2 very winnable games. And I think the Ohio State-Tennessee game is going to be a real intense, high-energy, high-wire, especially it's the last game of the first round, night game in Columbus. That's going to be an incredible matchup. I think the advantage Oregon has, and all of these teams are the bye, but especially, and this is kind of a backhanded compliment of a benefit, is that Ohio State and Tennessee are going to beat the snot out of each other. And they got to turn around and play, a week later. And Oregon's earned the chance to sit at home. But I agree with you. I don't think that's a fair matchup. I think there's got to be a way to guarantee Group of 5 access, which is the reason we have conference champions rewarded. It was the only way to get a Group of 5 access team, Group of 5 team guaranteed access. And I like that aspect of it. I mean, I think the March Madness is so incredibly popular because we have Cinderellas. We have 16 seeds and 15 seeds, and the 10 always beats the 7. So you have to have one of those elements in there. And I think it's important for everybody to have access, but I don't think you should be guaranteed a bye when it throws everything out of rhythm. I was on a plane last night with a Wichita State fan. And we were talking about this bracket specifically. Wichita State hadn't had football since, I think, like 72. So, but I put it in a basketball context for him. When Wichita State earned a number 1 seed in the NCAA tournament, their second round game was against a Kentucky team that was drastically underseeded. Kentucky won the 8-9 game against whomever. And then Wichita State's second round game was against a team loaded with pros. Like, it's not that it was unfair to misseed Kentucky to Kentucky. It is unfair to that team, but it's totally unfair to the team that they have to face when they are under or overseeded, depending on how you define that. That's where the disparity comes in. And I think that's something that, they need to reassess. We get 2 years of this playoff format, and then you could start from scratch. You could blow the whole thing up. You could go to 16. You could go to 14. You could stick it at 12, but take some of these guarantees away. And the people that have the power to do that really force it through, are Tony Petitti and Greg Sankey. So I just urge the leaders in college football to think about what's best holistically for the sport, not just what is best for your revenue stream or simply for your league. Because, it'd be like Rob Manfred changing baseball rules just so he could get the Yankees in the World Series every year. Like, no, stop with the revenue for just a second. Think about what's good for the whole, and then you'll end up with a better product that can withstand challenges.
What do you think they should do in 2 years, though, Tom? If you could kind of draw up a plan, and I think like every idea has got its flaws when it comes to this, because there's no perfect plan, but like, how would you tinker with it?
I wouldn't tinker. Well, okay, tinkering is a better word. I wouldn't change. I wouldn't change anything. And like, give us an opportunity to see how this 12-team playoff is going to play out. And on top of that, you're also giving the committee an opportunity to set these definitions and be a little bit more clear-cut as to what we're looking for and what we're going to reward and what we underrate. Now, that's going to change as personalities on the committee change, but if you have a few more guidelines, so teams know how are we going to be judged, athletic directors know what are they going to value, how does that impact my scheduling year in, year out. I think we have to get a feel for that before we just institute all this crazy change and blow it up. But my gut tells, so therefore I would stick it at 12. I would find a way to put value on the conference champions and reward them without guaranteeing buys to the top 4 conference champions. Now that's going to, then all of a sudden the Notre Dame access is going to come into question. Why are we guaranteeing, why do they have such an easy path to access when there's no penalty for them? Because Notre Dame in this current format can't get a bye because they're not going to be a conference champion. And that was something that was negotiated. Like that was, okay, we can allow Notre Dame a little bit easier access because of their history and their tradition, but they will never get a first round bye. And then the second part of that, the other thing that I would tinker with, and the committee chair told me they were concerned about having on-campus games between Christmas and New Year's. And I said to him, you're crazy, right? In this world where we're all looking for another revenue stream, we're all looking for a way to make things better. Just because it hasn't been done before doesn't mean it won't work. What would be easier for a fan base to do? Make their way to the college campus that they go to 6 times a year anyway, which is probably just down the street for a game on between Christmas and New Year's, or make their way to Miami or Los Angeles or Phoenix. Like, no, keep it on. Just because it hasn't been done before doesn't mean it's not going to work. I would argue it's going to be a bonanza if you get those games on campus sites between Christmas and New Year's. And no one's ever seen, these small college campuses overrun. I've been to Penn State during winter break for a basketball game on January 2nd. The place is dead. Well, wouldn't you want to inject some life into it instead of giving all the money to some random town and some NFL stadium and a bowl committee? It doesn't make sense to me.
Talking to Tom Hart here on TexAgs Live. Tom, one more, Boise State. How about their path? I mean, they've had a fun season, and they went toe-to-toe with Oregon early on, but they'll get Penn State or SMU. Like, that's, to me, just an interesting, like, they have I don't want to say a clear path, but they certainly could find themselves to the semis.
I think I don't disagree with you on paper, but to really sell that idea, then you're telling me that SMU has an opportunity to go and win at Penn State, and I just don't see that happening. I don't know what that line is. I know it's out there, but I can't see Penn State with a home game and something that's never happened, because that's one of the most amazing home field advantages in college football. I can't see SMU going up there and getting a win. I know their quarterback is dynamic, but he turns the ball over too much. He doesn't protect it. That's very risky. And then, so therefore you get Penn State and Boise. And I think, I think James Franklin has built a really good program. I don't think that's a cakewalk. Maybe it's easier than, facing Texas or Notre Dame in the second round on paper, but I think that'll kind of take care of itself. And I'm really curious. Like, we don't know. Will we get Cinderellas in this tournament?
Right.
Can SMU? Nobody would view Clemson as a Cinderella, obviously. But can Indiana, SMU, can they make noise? Can they win on the road? Can they capture everybody's attention? Or will it be enough just for this product, this television product? Will it be enough if they're in the game at the end? That ACC game was amazing. And I think everybody who's a college football fan was watching that to the very end. And after all these games we've had and all these teams that thought they had a chance, it's pretty amazing in the sport that it came down to the final kick of the final game to determine the final team in the playoff.
Tom, Gunnar Stockton, what a story that is. Do you think Georgia can win if Carson Beck is not able to go?
Yeah, because Georgia won this year with a very inconsistent Carson Beck. He was turnover prone for like a 4-game stretch where he just kept coughing it up time and again. And I did get a kick out of because I was watching all these games too. I got a kick out of the social media reaction and just kind of the media itself reaction. Like, oh my goodness, this kid has come off the bench and he's done this. Hold on. He's at Georgia. He's a quarterback on scholarship at Georgia.
Right,
Did you really think he couldn't play? He's a 5-star recruit. He's one of the top quarterbacks in his class. And yeah, he sat for a while to earn this opportunity. The dude can play. The dude can run an offense. And it is kind of weird though, David. Like we've seen this time and again in sports where a star player goes down and you think, okay, well that team's done, and somehow it rallies the rest of the team. It's kind of like what they say, like when you lose one of your 5 senses and the other 4 like kick into hyperdrive and make up for losing that. I don't doubt Kirby's smart teams, and I certainly don't doubt him at the quarterback position because Stetson Bennett won 2 national titles. You telling me Gunnar Stockton can't go out there and win a few games?
Tom, what about that Mizzou-Kansas game? I think you were broadcasting that one, right?
Yeah. What we love about college sports, I grew up on that rivalry. Everybody grew up on something different, right? Depending on where you are. But rivalries in my mind are what really engage us and hook us to the sport, because when you walk in, whether it's Kyle Field or I used to go to games at Hearn Center in Missouri, when you walk in for a rivalry game, the building feels different. Mm-hmm. There's this electricity in there that, if you're 5 years old, if you're 15 years old, if you're 50 years old, it hooks you from the jump. So I'm really glad Missouri and Kansas, Bill Self agreed to renew this rivalry a couple of years ago, but there's no rivalry like this in Missouri-Kansas. And with respect to all the other college rivalries, David, this one was built on the border skirmishes from the Civil War.
Right.
A guy from Missouri, William Contrell, went in and burned Lawrence to the ground. And the guys from Lawrence, the Jayhawkers, would come over and rape and pillage and burn down Missouri towns. It was so bad that they passed a decree that you couldn't live in a border county for about a 5-year period. That is the background of this Missouri-Kansas rivalry. So I know there are better rivalries out there on fields and on courts, but there's nothing that has the history that this one does.
I'll close out with this. Buzz has got the team playing really well. We'll have them on the show at 10 o'clock. 4 straight wins. And yesterday, just a typical Buzz Williams Aggie kind of victory, right? Scrappy rebounds. The shooting wasn't great, but they found a way to get the ball in the bucket. And Wade Taylor, of course, at the end of it.
I think only 9 turnovers yesterday, which was a season low against Texas Tech. When Buzz's teams limit their turnovers, and I hesitate to say this because there's going to be a game that they lose because they don't shoot well. But when they limit their turnovers, it really doesn't matter if they don't shoot the ball well. And the reason is they lead the nation in offensive rebounding percentage once again. They crash the glass so hard that they can get 3 shots per possession. They can shoot 33% and still get a bucket out of it. Where things unravel is if they don't take care of the basketball and then they lose possessions. Right. You turn it over, let's say 14 times versus 9. That's a huge difference, and maybe the difference in the game. So, typical, man. I mean, crash the boards hard. Play good defense. It's okay to muck it up and muddy it up and make the game look slow and look like a rock fight. But Wade Taylor got them off to a great start, and then they finished it from the free throw line. Like those are the elements that this team needs to be successful. Get some explosive play from the backcourt, get the job done at the free throw line, and in between, crash the glass as hard as you can.
Tom, I appreciate you, sir. Talk to you soon, man.
All right, man. Good to see you.
Good seeing you. Tom Hart there on the Boss Firearms Hotline. We'll hit a break. We'll come back. I think Billy should be getting around here shortly, so we'll talk to Billy at some point. Right now, a moment for Caldwell Country Chevrolet. You can find them on Highway 21 in Caldwell and online at caldwellcountrychevrolet.com. When you go there, just know you're getting great customer service, great pricing, and a great trade-in value, and just an overall incredible experience. I bought my vehicle there a couple years ago. It's actually my wife's vehicle, our Tahoe. We bought it a couple years ago, and it was so good. I mean, we've been driving it. We've had nothing but success with it. The customer service, whenever we've had to have oil changes, whatever it may be, they are just fantastic about it. But again, the process of finding the car, they found it for us. We test drove it. We took it home. It was super simple. And again, you get free oil changes for life as long as you own that vehicle from Caldwell Country Chevrolet. And they have complimentary pickup and delivery for their service customers. It's not a far drive. We're talking 15 minutes, the edge of Bryan to the beginnings of Caldwell. Short conversation away, but you'll see the difference when you step on the lot and do business with the great people at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Highway 21 in Caldwell. Online, caldwellcountrychevrolet.com. All right, we're back here on TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner Shielders. We're in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Moment for Bird Dog, Aggie owned and operated company that creates access to hunting opportunities. I know I'm going to be doing one with them again in the spring. I had such a blast at the last one I went to, the only one I went to, Brady, Texas. It was great, and it was just a really fun time of meeting some people that I'm still in touch with now. You know, a month later, we're still keeping in touch. We're texting, we're talking. Some really good friends and fellowship came from that. But if you just like to hunt, or you want to learn how to hunt, or you're just looking for some cool hunting activities, let Bird Dog take care of you. They make it so easy, transparent. They'll find the hunt for you. They'll get all the logistics done. Maybe you want a private chef. Maybe you want a concert. Maybe you want to have some yoga. I don't know. Whatever you want, let the crew there at Bird Dog take care of it. The website is birddogit.com, birddogit.com. Go check it out. I highly, highly, highly recommend it. All right, we go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Jackson Oxney's got some text messages for us.
Yeah, we have a text from a 979 number.
Okay, tell me more.
It seems like he's quoting TexAgs or someone maybe on the show. He says,
what do we say?
We're going to Vegas. It's going to be great. Better than the college football playoff, to be fair.
Nick, did I or Olin say that? Did you hear what he just said? You can
I did. Yeah, okay. I did. No.
Did we ever say that going to Vegas was better than the college football playoffs?
No.
Did we?
It's A&M's bowl game. We're going to talk about it. That's simple.
Yeah, that's true. Like, is there anybody in the world that if this is why you listen to the show is to complain about talking about the next step in the season, don't listen. I know people say, don't talk to the trolls, David. Don't talk. No. It's a talking point at the moment. So I'm going to talk to this troll. Don't listen. I don't want you listening anymore. I'm sure you're a very nice guy, but every time you text, it's something very negative. But I'll let you finish the text message, Jackson.
Yeah, he said Indiana, SMU, and Cincinnati have all made the college football playoff before Texas A&M.
This is true.
Should be unacceptable.
Who says it's acceptable? I just want. Is this like are we supposed to do a revolt? Are we supposed to go to campus and like picket and like this is unacceptable? It sucks. We agree.
Maybe he wants to do that.
But and I'm real serious here. I don't know what we're supposed to do. Like I don't like. This is unacceptable. I can't believe it. Mike Elko in his first year. I was about to call him Coach Early. Mike Elko in his first year only won 8. Like, what do you want me to say? I think there was progress from the last regime. There's a lot of things that were undone. I want to see more. I need to see more progress, absolutely. The Las Vegas Bowl shouldn't be the goal. No one said it was the goal. I don't know how what we're not saying to you in particular. Like, you want me to yell and curse? Is that what you want? Well, you're not going to get that. Like, what exactly do you want? And I'm being honest. Like, what can we do? Like, does anybody think that, like, did you watch the post-game show after Texas? Did I seem happy? Nick, you did the show with me. Did I seem like a very happy person?
No, you did not.
Do you think? And this is not like politics. This is unacceptable. They would never accept this in New York. Yeah, because you got to live in New York. That sucks. Like, what do you want me to say? Like, this is college football. I want my team to win every game they ever play in. And acceptable or not acceptable, it's not even an option. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what do you want me to do? Punch people? No.
Yeah, to finish it off.
He had more?
Yeah, a little more.
My gosh.
He said, but not for dear old Texas average and mediocre.
See, he says he's an Aggie. This is the guy who called us Aggie with a Y.
Yeah, he said he's class
he's not
74.
an Aggie. Yeah, you're not. You're not one. Sorry, you're not one. You're just not.
Yeah, I've never seen Aggie shortened to AGGY before.
No, Aggie. Oh, I accidentally typed it. Let me look at my phone real quick, just for dramatic effect. When you type something, how close are the Y and the I? Okay, the I is at 4, right?
Uh-huh.
Oh, I guess if you're when you're on the keyboard though. Okay, I was doing old school. You didn't know what I was talking about. I was doing old school typing. I and Y, they're kind of close. I can see how you could accidentally.
I was going to say, I think they're
kind of close. There's a U in the middle. I think if it would have been AGGU, I would have believed it more. Huh. He might be a real nice guy. Who knows? But all you do is complain. That's it. And look, I want A&M to be in the playoffs. You want A&M to be Billy, Olin, everybody who does this show. I don't know how we can express what's acceptable and not acceptable. Like if somebody could give me a trick. Nick, tell me a trick. Come on, you're good with tricks.
What is that supposed to mean?
you're like MacGyver. You fix things.
Sure, Inspector Gadget. Yeah, there's no trick. It's A&M's next game. We're going to talk about it, just like we're going to talk about every basketball game, every baseball game, every women's basketball game. We're a show that covers A&M sports, so sorry. Yeah, that guy.
Well, I didn't realize this, but the Department of Moral Social Authority sent him a text in here. That's interesting. I didn't know they were listening, so interesting. What other text do you have for us?
Yeah, we got a text, kind of a negative text too.
Oh my God, guys, it's not worth being negative. Be happy in the world.
David in the Pacific Northwest. Losing to a 6-6 Lincoln Riley team with half of its starters in the portal or not playing is on brand for us.
They haven't even played the game yet. I don't even need to go to Vegas.
Yeah, I guess he knows. I guess maybe he
Who
has
said that? Does he have a name?
David.
David from where? David from where?
Pacific Northwest.
Oh, he's sometimes positive, sometimes negative. David, come on, oh my!
He might still be upset from the Texas loss.
I'm upset about it too. Yeah. I hate it. But what are you gonna do about it? It's over. Next phase,
yeah.
Phase 2.
And then a couple people in the YouTube chat saying they'll send Shamar Stewart $25 each so he doesn't enter the NFL draft.
Hey, I'm just happy for the young man. If he's getting, because his measurables are going to be out of this world. That's if he's getting reports that he's going to be awesome and he's going to get drafted, he needs to follow his dream. So I want people to stay. I also want them to make their money and be happy. So if that's the next step for him, congratulations. And by the way, that letter he wrote, I actually went back and kind of read it slowly in the break. Just well thought out, really nice words. Really appreciate that. If your organization or your business is looking for an opportunity to engage with Aggies, then you need to check out the Association of Former Students. They bring Aggies of all ages together throughout the year. Marquee events such as Aggie Ring Day, All Aggie Hullabaloo Gathering. They all welcome tens of thousands of guests, and there are many sponsorship and vendor opportunities available to get your brand in front of attendees. And all of these events offer a wide variety of both digital and in-person options to promote your brand. These options include title sponsorship, naming, on-site presence. You also have opportunities to advertise in the Texas Aggie Magazine and the Aggie News newsletter, which are seen by over 230,000 people. So if your business is ready to engage with other Aggies, you need to choose a partner that's been around Texas A&M for over 140 years. For more information on options available through the association, please email sponsorships@aggienetwork.com. Everyone, David Nuño here in a moment right now for Snaps Clothing. They are the makers of the only official licensed Texas A&M Pearl Snap shirts. I'm wearing it right now. This is part of their Tailgater collection. It's built for game day. My friend Edgar over there is doing great work. You've got to check out the clothing. It's the Pearl Snaps. It's the cool look. It's kind of hip, but also Western. You'll love it, and they have great stuff there. They'll keep you comfortable as you're repping your Aggie gear, and it's the place to go to get it. Whether you're watching the game from home or tailgating before watching the stands, these shirts have you covered. Head to snapsclothing.com. That is snapsclothing.com to gear up for the season. We're back on TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We're in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Billy should be here soon. A couple things to talk about here. Found out that Cam Dewberry entered the portal just a little bit ago. We saw that, and there was one more. Is it? It
was Josh
Salazar. Yep. So a couple more entries into the portal. Salazar, Cam Dewberry, and Josh Salazar both in the portal. Cam, I'm not surprised by. I think last year, if I remember correctly, he thought about it. But he's looking to play every down, and Salazar just didn't catch on here. Unfortunately, he was on the roster. He came in with a lot of praise, but that did not work out for him. There'll be others. How many names is that? Do we have a running total, Nick?
I think it's about 15 at this point, something like that.
Okay. And I know that Jacob Zeno is being reported that he's on campus. I think Bronny already reported it that he's on campus today at some point. So if
you want to stay up to date with the latest transfer portal news, go to TexAgs.com. Bronny's got a really interesting thread that he keeps up to the minute information on it with guys coming to visit, transferring out, all that fun stuff. So
yep. You got to be a premium subscriber for that, but that tracker is fantastic.
Like what I did there?
I did.
Yeah, I learned that from you.
Well, I appreciate you, sir. I'm actually looking at it right now to see if some stuff has been reported today. And yeah, there's some stuff on there as of today. So you'll certainly want to check that out. And, I guess the question comes up, though, about depth of the bowl game if you keep losing players. But this is the world of college football that you're in, and they'll figure it out. If they were able to figure it out last year, they'll be able to figure it out.
Let me go look and see how many players USC has had transfer out just to get an idea of what we're looking at for this
we'll
game.
Compare and contrast as of right now, right? Like and by the way, we've seen guys go in the portal and come right back out. If I remember correctly, Tyreek Chappelle fell in that category last year. So things can happen like that as well. We wish these guys well, and I know that Coach Elko will help them go somewhere if it's just not the right fit, or if playing time is the issue and there's guys supplanted in front of them. It is what it is. We go back to Jackson Oxney at the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. People are telling me not to respond to the mean, but I think, look, to be 100% fair, for this show to work, there has to be some good and bad, right? I understand the both sides, but I just don't believe in always bad, right? And it can't always be good. The way I do it, the way I operate, Jackson, is what I'm doing today is providing news and some analysis of that news. I'm not cheering, yay. If there's any cheering for Vegas, it's more because people like to visit Vegas. It's a destination that a lot of folks like to go to. It was not on my top 3 for personal reasons, but the game itself would be great. I'm looking forward to playing USC.
It's the first time that A&M's played in the Vegas Bowl too, so it's kind of cool.
Look, I think another opportunity for Marcel Reed to play is a good thing. More reps against a real quality opponent. And I say quality opponent, I'm not talking about their 6-6 record. I'm just talking about a brand name, a USC program that had high hopes entering the year. I think that it's just another opportunity to play high-level football.
I think you'll agree with this comment on the YouTube chat from Don. He said, I would just love to see a team who really wants to win the bowl game. It will be a depleted team with transfers and opt-outs, but those who play should be recognized and praised.
Yeah, and I think we did that last year in the Texas Bowl. With they played. Look, they really didn't have a chance, right? But they had a chance.
Yeah.
When you lose Jalen Henderson on the first play of the game, and Marcel Reed makes his real debut and looks the way he did, and just gave you a little bit of a hint of what could come. There's some good things that come out of this, and more football is good. That's just how I look at it. Like I don't even have to qualify it. Like, of course we want to play in the playoffs, but I'm glad we get to watch another game. I'm glad it's a destination bowl. It's a place that people are going to want to go to. I'm excited about all that. Jackson.
Lane in Centerville texted and said, "Here's some positivity for you, Ags. We will win it all next year."
I'm not ready to go there.
Yeah, no, I know.
I'm not ready to go there. I'm not saying it's not going to happen either, but I'm just not there just yet. I think Billy's here, so we'll hit a break. We'll come back. We'll get Billy on the program.
USC is up to 8 transfers, by the way.
USC's got 8 transfers. Thank you very much. Rollo Insurance, the difference is real. They're an independent insurance company built around educating you on exactly what you're paying for, doing the shopping for you so that you can accomplish all of your insurance goals. And smart people with good information tend to make great decisions. You're a smart person, so make a wise decision by going to rolloinsurance.com/TexAgs. Your risks are their business. And I'm telling you, they're the ones to take care of all of your insurance goals or needs, because they'll take care of your car owner's insurance, your farmer's insurance, your homeowner's insurance, your business insurance, you name it. The crew at Rollo Insurance will take care of you. 888-44-ROLLO, 60 offices in Texas alone with their headquarters on Highway 6. Again, it's rolloinsurance.com/TexAgs. I think a little wrinkle to the transfer portal, what they could do is once you enter, you can play. I know you can't because of school, but it's like if you enter early, if you enter by tomorrow afternoon at 4 p.m., you get to play in that team's bowl game. That would be an interesting. It's already Wild West. I'm not really suggesting it. I'm just because I'm seeing these reports online of people feeling very good about Zeno joining A&M. Not that they need him to play, but with Jalen Henderson entering the portal and with that quarterback room and Connor Wigman entering the portal with that room's going to look like. Miles O'Neal and obviously Marcel Reed. But hopefully it doesn't come down to any of that. But interesting, without a doubt, thinking about how the next. Here's the thing: if you consider where things were for A&M a year ago, right around now, Coach Elko had just been hired. He's trying to figure out his staff, trying to keep his players, trying to meet players, right? Like, hey, this is the ones he already knew. Rekindle those relationships. Try to talk guys out of the portal. Try to understand what portal is out there. Not having a complete staff on how you attack this. How much better they're going to be this time around, to me, is going to be very interesting and something we have to watch. Look, they have to hit on some wide receivers. They have to. I thought they did a nice job recovering last year, but you need some 1A type of guys, right? You've got to get guys that you give the keys to, and that you can open up the playbook. You have to, and I think this team is so far ahead of where they were a year ago in that, just because of understanding the situation, having the pieces in place, also players to kind of speak to the culture, because what you had with the existing players was they wanted to hear from Coach Elko and figure out if this was the place for them. They also had to live through what it's going to be with Tommy Moffitt, with Colin Klein, with Jay Bateman, with the entire crew. They had to kind of see what life is like with them. Now they have the proof of it. Now they have the existing pieces in place, and it becomes a lot easier phone call at this point. And you have more people to help you do it. So I expect, if you consider what they did last year in the portal to be successful, I consider this one to be even bigger. I don't like the idea of building your team through the portal, but it is what it is. And in today's college football, you got to replenish what you lose. And if you can add pieces to it, you add pieces to it. Like, that's the bottom line. You've got to, if you can get better at a certain position, you go get better. You're in a world now that it comes down to, who do I add that's going to make a difference on this football team, a good difference, not only on the field, but who's not going to rock the boat of what we're trying to do here? Who's somebody who will fit in with the culture that we have established? And if you wanted to grade Coach Elko on the entire season, I hope that you take into account what he inherited, where there were some weaknesses already in place. Take away the 5 stars, right? You had these 5 stars and these 4 stars. I'm not talking about from a talent perspective. I'm talking about where you had your depth, where you had your personalities, right? And you consider everything. Were people going to meetings on time? Are people picking up their teammates and being leaders for them? What is the expectations on a day-to-day basis? Look, the end of the season ended the way the end of the season ended, and not acceptable. Agreed. We've already talked about that earlier in the show. But when you're grading somebody, I hope you're going to look at the totality of the 365 days from day 1 to 365 of where they are as a program. And I know at the end of the day, it's about wins and losses and being invited to the playoffs, and you were in the conversation at the end. But now adding these next few pieces to this team is going to make a huge difference, because you've already lost some depth on the offensive line with Cam Dewberry entering. You've lost some defensive line guys to the portal and to the NFL draft and Shamar Stewart. That happened earlier today. You do all that. You lose a couple of places in the quarterback room. Like, you look at this roster's got some holes in it right now. It looks like, if I'm looking at that correctly, you've lost 2 wide receivers, Micah Tease and Cyrus Allen. I don't want to lose those guys. Nobody does. But you have an opportunity now to potentially get better at those 2 spots and still get better anyway. So, it's not a 1-for-1 thing. You were going to add people regardless. You needed to get better at that position. And that's what I think this next really week to 10 days is going to be. Who do you get on campus, and how quickly can you get them to commit to what we're trying to do here at Texas A&M? And I think you're going to start seeing these things happen a lot quicker than last year. I would not be surprised if, in the next couple of days, we have a handful of guys. Maybe a handful is a bit much, but 2-3 guys that decide to go this direction. To me, they're just so far ahead of where they were, and they should be. I get that. They should be ahead of where they were, but they're so far ahead of where they were a year ago that selling the program at this point isn't about a vision. It's about, look, this is what we were able to do in year one, step one. This is what we're going to be at next year. And look, hopefully that includes a college football playoff berth. But just seeing growth. And if you didn't see growth from this football team, I don't know what to tell you. I saw growth. I did not like November. I have to keep saying that. I hate that I have to keep saying that. I didn't like November sucked. And I hope that never happens again. But if you couldn't, with your eyeballs, see, this is a better football team. That secondary was better. If you can't see that, you could have your questions about the offense down the stretch, but you lost your best running back. You get Le'Veon Moss back next year. If you get Le'Veon Moss and Reuben Owens back, like, goodness gracious, with what you have coming in, and maybe you add another guy in the portal, you got yourself, that offense is going to be better than it was this year for obvious reasons. Going into it with a game plan of who your starting quarterback makes a huge difference. All right, we'll hit a break here in a little bit. When we come back on TexAgs Live, I saw Billy in the building, so I know he's here. Billy will join us. We will also get Buzz Williams on the program. And look, that game yesterday was a grind-out victory, and one of those kind of wins that A&M does so well, which is, Nick, what were you going to say? I can tell you wanted to say something. Okay. Those kind of games that, like, they're just like, they're going to find a way. They didn't turn the ball over. They got all the rebounds. They hit the free throw line. They just played Buzz Williams basketball. And Texas Tech can score, man. That team has got some players. So we'll talk to Buzz about that. We'll get Billy's thoughts now that it's been 24 hours or almost 24 hours since the bowl game was announced, and what he's feeling like here on a Monday morning afterwards. Get to your text messages at 979-693-1150. You are listening to TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers in the Rollo Insurance Studio. All right, we're back here on TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We're in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Let's go to the Boss Firearms Hotline. That's where we find Buzz Williams. Texas A&M basketball has won 4 straight. A big win yesterday over Texas Tech at Dickies Arena. Buzz, good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning. Doing good. How you doing?
Well, thank you, sir. So, I've kind of been categorizing yesterday's game as a Texas A&M special. Like you all grinded. You got the rebounds. You had very limited turnovers. Just talk about how your team has played so well in these high-pressure situations.
Yeah, I think it speaks to who they are, how much they care. I think it speaks to the relationships that they have with one another and with the staff. A lot of one-possession, two-possession games from start to finish. That was our 5th Power 4 game in a row. 4 of those 5 have been on the road. Honored and privileged to be around them and learn from them. Have ultimate respect and admiration for their resiliency, their endurance, not just physically, but their mental endurance, their emotional endurance. That was a road game yesterday. It was the largest crowd in the history of Dickies Arena since it was built, and it was full of black and red. And I didn't ever feel like our guys stepped back in regards to what they knew we had to do. I think our staff has been superb in their preparation and their adjustments in real time. And so very, very thankful.
Buzz, does anything feel different this year? I mean, obviously it's a veteran group that you've had for a long time with some new pieces, but does something about the way maybe closing out games or just in general, there's something different with this team?
Well, I think there's only 3 teams that have played a more difficult schedule than we have. We played 6 Quad 1 and Quad 2 games already. The ACC-SEC Challenge as of today is considered a Quad 3. Gonzaga, us, Purdue, and Alabama. And I think that playing that sort of schedule, very few home games, against the caliber of teams that we're playing, I think it forces you to grow. I think it forces you to mature. I think it forces you to understand the value of your preparation, the reps leading up to it. And I think that they also, because of all of those things, I actually think that they understand how monumental every possession is. I mean, we're playing in Fort Worth, a road game in front of however many Texas Tech people, and it's a one-possession game in the first half, and it's a one-possession game in the second half. In game number 10, it's a Quad 1 game, and I think a lot of what we've already done 5 weeks into the season, I just think the maturity for sure helps. You couldn't do it without that. The talent for sure helps. You couldn't do it without that, but collectively, this group, including myself, we've never done anything at this level in regards to what's required just to have a chance to be in a game. And so I think it's forced our rate of growth to be faster than ever before.
Buzz, I'm watching that game yesterday, and there's a point, just kind of like what you're saying, and you guys are you're in a fist fight against a team that's been really good for a while now. When you look back and going back to Coach Beard, and it's been several years now that Texas Tech's been not good but really good basketball program, and you guys are in a fist fight, just like hand-to-hand combat in the final 4 minutes of. I think just every one of these games just feels so meaningful because you know what they're going to mean down the road, and maybe you guys lose a game like that, it doesn't necessarily hurt, it probably helps, but you just know how much is to be gained every time you win. And then I look at the SEC schedule and what the league's done in non-conference this year. How important, am I wrong in thinking like these games feel more, when you win these type of games, they feel more meaningful than ever? Because I feel like this SEC grind this year is going to look a lot like playing football in the SEC, whereas everybody is going to get everybody at different points in the season.
I think it was versus Oregon at the one possession game with 4 minutes left. It was not, we lost by 10, but that was not the score. We had to foul the last 3 possessions. It was a tie ball game against Creighton with 2.5 minutes. We're down 1 versus Rutgers with, I think it was 3:36. We were up 1. Last night, the last media was at 2:56, and it's a 1 possession game. I've never coached football. I like football more than basketball, so I'm following all that has transpired across the country since Labor Day. Specific to our league, statistically speaking, in men's basketball, it's never been better, the SEC. And through 5 weeks, there's only been 2 other leagues ranked with this sort of numerical data after 5 weeks in the history of college basketball. Obviously, it's a zero-sum game. Once you get to SEC play, somebody's going to win and somebody's going to lose. But I think if I did some research this morning just because I like the numbers of all of it, specific to us, but also just nationally, like the things that have happened thus far going into finals week, specific to this league, I think it speaks for itself. There's only one other league that's even played 500 against top 50 Ken Palm teams, leagues. And so, like, there's a lot of numerical data that supports what you're saying. And just to be transparent, Lucy, you know this for the most part. I just tell our guys the truth. I stay pretty far away from opinions. I tell them exactly what it is as it's happening, whether that's a game, whether that's practice, whether we're in the film room. And I don't know that that's necessarily always the right thing to do, because when you're playing the schedule that we play, you know, you need some hugs and you need some support because everything is such a tractor pull. But I do think that the lessons that we're learning, obviously we're getting a lot of reps to, quote, figuratively deposit into our account before we even get to January. Now, the wear and tear, the injuries, what that does to you physically, mentally, and emotionally, like I mentioned last night to somebody that asked in the media room, I've got to continue to spend time and discern. Spending 8 days in Vegas, I don't know if that's good. And then playing 2 days later in the SEC ACT Challenge, we don't have a choice on that. And then you take Wednesday off, and then you go back Thursday morning. You go, hey guys, now listen, we got to get going because we play again Sunday, and they're statistically better than any team we've played. It's a quad 1 game for sure. It may turn into a quad 1A game, and we play Sunday at 2:00. And then we're in the locker room last night, and they're like, "Coach, so do you know anything about Purdue?" And I'm like, "No, not yet, but I know statistically they're better than any team that we played, and they're ranked ahead of any team we played." So I just need to have discernment on how we continue along this trajectory, because you want to have a crescendo as the season goes. But when you play what we've done thus far, you got to hurry up and be good just to have a chance not to get run out of the gym.
Yeah, I think it's been really entertaining to watch. It's pressure as you know, the fan in me and somebody that's rooting for you guys. Like it really is. It's high pressure watching these games, and it shouldn't, because going back to football, it shouldn't, because it's such a long season. But it's got that like football feel where every Saturday or every game, like you said, you guys are in Vegas for 3 really good games against, 2 Big Ten teams in freaking Creighton. And then you come back and it's Wake Forest and Tech, so ACC, Big 12. And then, like you said, oh, by the way, up next is a team that just played for the national title. On some level, like I know, Buzz, you're probably, like you just said, your team's peak historically here at A&M at least, have peaked historically towards the end of the season. So I know you, and I know you're probably wrestling with that in every way that you just said. But on the other hand, do you also, like you mentioned, the just filing it away, right? The experience. It feels like March in November is what I guess I'm saying, because these games, like you mentioned earlier, everyone's within a basket or a possession or so in the final 4 minutes.
And you don't really know what the setup is going to be. It was the first ever. It was historic. You're in Vegas. You don't really know what the vibe is going to be at noon Vegas time on Tuesday afternoon when we play Oregon.
Yeah.
And then in that Creighton game, I for sure felt like it was a March neutral site game. The gym was full of blue. It was a one possession game, either side from start to finish. And then I felt a little bit of that. It's kind of tournament-like, when you get to the last day of the tournament. Well, one team's going to be 3-0, and one team's going to be 0-3. And then them other six, they're all fighting. One team, 3 of them's going home with a winning record, and 3 of them's going home with a losing record. And you're playing 2 lottery picks. And then, like you said, Wake Forest is what it is. And then Texas Tech is another, man, that felt like a post-spring break type atmosphere type game where it's almost sterile in some ways. Like you don't really know all of the officials. You've never been in the arena. You don't get to shoot around. You get 20 minutes before the game and let's play. So there was a lot of characteristics that you typically see in March that I think our guys have been able to experience over the last couple of weeks.
Talking to Buzz Williams here on TexAgs Live. Buzz, what is your messaging to players that are struggling? Because Jace Carter, a guy that you have been able to count on so much, went through a little rough stretch, and then yesterday he was back to doing what we've seen, and he was huge with those 16 points.
Yeah, kind of maybe similar to what I said earlier. And again, as I mentioned, I am for sure not saying it's the right way to do it. But it is how we do it, whether that's an assistant coach, whether that's a manager, whether that's a trainer, whether it's somebody that plays a lot, somebody that doesn't play much, somebody that's on scholarship, somebody that's not. I think we try to function in and live in the truth. Can you speak the truth? Can you receive the truth? And that is not dominated by me. They tell me the truth in every possible way too. And I actually thought that how much H cares to come back and use this COVID year knowing that we have a really good perimeter and he wants to be a part and he cares about his teammates. He cares about our program. I was sitting next to him during the Wake Forest game. He doesn't play double-digit minutes, and I just went and sat by him and I said, I've learned so much from you. And you were in our first full recruiting class, and I know you care about Texas A&M and your family does, but, man, I just really admire you. I admire that you care. I admire that your attitude doesn't change. I admire that your spirit is not a roller coaster. I admire the consistency in how you work. And I would say our staff has done a near perfect job since the portal began in vetting and researching guys that fit our program. There's a lot of talented guys, but it's the fit for us as it relates to how we go about things is critically important. We've had a lot of talented guys that didn't make it, and it's not because of their talent, and vice versa. Jace was shooting 12% from 3, 32% from the free throw line, and starting and playing 24 minutes a game, and he was hard to take off the floor. He's among or the most physical player on our team. He has a very fast twitch brain, his job on the glass helps us replenish what Boots gave us, what Dex gave us the year before. And I think that how H responded starting and the minutes that he gave us, even though statistically they weren't incredible, but he makes a lot of winning plays just like he did in Vegas. And I thought Jace had the best game he's had at the Division I level, specifically here for sure. Makes those 2 threes, makes 2 free throws all early in the game. And then what he does at the front of our press, what he does on the ball defensively, the presence he has when he's off the ball. And then, statistically speaking, he's the 4th leading rebounder for us, not only on the offensive glass, but also on the defensive glass. And I thought yesterday he was tremendous.
And he stepped up, like you said, in such a big way yesterday. Also, the most reliable guy on the glass probably in the country in Andy gets into foul trouble, and you don't get the normal production out of the glue guy, as I call him. And so obviously Solo comes in and steps up, making, what do you have, 9 boards, made free throws, all that. Anybody else stand out to you, Buzz, or was it just a collective thing, or was it Jace, was it H? How were you guys able to absorb that loss against that team? Because when Andy gets in foul trouble in the first half, and then you see it in the second, you're kind of going, oh man, that's a big loss, and it normally would have been, but the guy stepped up.
Yeah, I thought Andy played one of his top 5 games, and he's had a lot of them. It might have even been top 3 on Tuesday. Yeah. And I thought yesterday was by far the worst game since he had been here. If you look, I know that we've lost twice. Obviously, Solo got hurt in the Oregon game very early. Mm-hmm. Solo's numbers don't jump out at you, but he impacts winning on both sides of the ball more than just what his stats say. Yeah. I know statistically he was very impressive yesterday. But what he does for us defensively when the ball's on the floor, what he does for us when the ball's in the air, he may be as good as I've seen in a long time. And our players know that. And we're relying on that, just to be honest. But I don't think that I would have said prior to the game that we would get 18 offensive rebounds and rebound 43% of our misses, and Andy's going to play 5 minutes. And I don't think I would have thought that we would have shot 16 more balls than they would have by creating 18 turnovers defensively, but also we played with a low turnover rate. And then obviously we did such a good job on the offensive glass. So I think there were, like any game of that magnitude where it's going to be a 1 or 2 possession game, the margin is invisible. And is it one thing? Is it one person? I don't think you can ever put it on one person or one thing when you're playing in these sorts of games. I think they're all correlated, though. I think everything you said, I do think that it's correlated. Mm-hmm. And the recipe that we have to follow to manufacture a 1 and 2 possession game, it's pretty specific. And yesterday, like Forrest talking to me during the game, he's like, Coach, we got it. We're not getting our points from the free throw line. And I go, yeah, that's why this is a tractor pull. Like for us to only get 13 points from the free throw line, that's hard for us. Mm-hmm. But we only gave them 9. Okay, that's huge for us. But we shot 16 more balls. Well, how? Well, we didn't give it to them, and we got more possessions on the offensive glass. Well, who did it? Well, it looked, we made 9 threes. That's more than we averaged. Well, who made them? Oh, Solo made 2. Well, he was shooting in the teens. Well, Jace made 3. Well, yeah, he wasn't even shooting in the teens. So, it has to be a lot of people to do that on that stage in that sort of environment.
Buzz, let's close out with what we talked about at the very top here. Purdue's going to be your 6th straight game against a power conference team, 8th of the fall this season. Just The biggest test you've had up to date, just some final thoughts about that matchup here coming up.
Yeah, Coach Painter's a first ballot Hall of Fame coach. I mean, Coach Katie was the first one at Purdue, and Matt Painter will be the second one. The lineage and support of that program speaks for itself. Just to be transparent, Nuño, I know Paint, but I haven't studied them. I do know they played in the national championship game. I do know Zach Edney was an unbelievable college player, but I've just been so focused. 5 games in the last 8 days is a lot, and so I don't know. They're giving me all the analytics and all the software stuff I study. They have my computer with all the clips that I kind of have a process, and I'm glad that we don't play until Saturday. We're taking today off, which is good. Tomorrow will be an us day where we don't talk about the opponent. But over the next 24 hours, I'll be able to kind of do some preliminary work on them. I'm excited. I've never played in Indianapolis, wherever it is that we're playing. I know that it'll be another road game like yesterday was. And so in some regards, yesterday was great prep relative to what's upcoming on Saturday. But I also think these days off are in some ways, Nuño, just as important as our work days, just because the physicality required in these games, when you play, as you mentioned, we're about to play the 6th one in a row. That's a lot. That's a lot on our guys physically. It's a lot on our staff to prioritize how are we going to position ourselves to have the plan to win. It's a lot on our guys mentally to absorb all of that content. And then emotionally, like your nerves are frayed because similar to the conversation we've been having, like you realize, like, goodness gracious, this possession, like this one right here, not only do we have to have elite discipline, but we have to have great execution just to hope we get it. And I think playing in those possession-type games over and over, it does grow you up, but there is a lot of wear and tear. And so a day off around here is like manna from heaven, especially if you win the day before.
Buzz, thanks for making a few minutes, sir. Thank you very much. Have a great week.
Okay, thank you, guys.
Thanks, Buzz.
Buzz Williams.
That's good, man.
Yeah.
That's exciting. It just we're not even to conference play yet, and you've got wins over Texas Tech, Creighton, who obviously, as we all know, just beat number 1 Kansas, but also just the fact that they're Creighton.
Yep.
You've got wins. Just think about what these teams have done in recent years. Texas Tech, Creighton. You beat a Rutgers team that's really on the upswing. When you look at those guys they've got in there, that young duo. To beat Ohio State at home in a year where they might make some noise in the Big Ten, they very well could. And your losses are to a Big 12 team in a true road game, and to Oregon that's just surging, out of the Big Ten. So this resume, and Wake Forest, oh, by the way, out of the ACC, this resume is as good as any non-conference that I can remember covering. And that's if they went and lost to Purdue, you might say that. If they beat Purdue and end up 11-2 in that non-conference schedule, then you got Texas coming in first, by the way, in the SEC. But it would be such a resume builder.
Yeah.
It would be incredible. Imagine having wins over, just think Purdue, Creighton, and Purdue, Creighton, and Texas Tech. And that doesn't even count. Then you get to see what Ohio State
becomes
and Rutgers become. Even you get to see what Oregon ends up being. So, pretty remarkable scheduling. And you put a lot at risk. You put the confidence of your team at risk. You put playing in this part of the country. It's not an A&M thing. I try to tell everyone it's a South thing. It might be all of college basketball now, unless you're up there in the Northeast where they don't really have any football outside of Penn State. But you put at risk like fan excitement entering conference play, where it's like, okay, is this going to be one of those things that the people start noticing in the second half of conference play, if we're lucky, you put that in at risk. Like I said, you put the confidence of your team at risk. You put your resume at risk. So to not only to play those games, Buzz had to know what kind of team he had, but you hear him talk and you know that it was still kind of like, okay, well, we're going to wade into this thing and let's find out. Let's see. And they've done a hell of a job. Feels like every game has been decided in the final 2 minutes. I do think that preps you for later. And I think not just A&M, but so many of these SEC teams, they're having such good non-conference seasons, they're all going to need it because there's going to be a whole lot of teams that are fighting between that 8 and 10, 10 and 8 range this year because everybody's good.
We'll hit a break here. We'll come back with more. Right now, Heritage Films, they make documentary films about families. They do it about family businesses, family ranches. Highly recommend you call Chance McClain up at 713-893-8341 and just chit-chat about your family. Let him just kind of learn a little bit about you and what his vision would be for a documentary about your dad, about your grandfather, or about your uncle, about your family business. Let him tell that story in a 2-hour documentary form that you're going to be able to watch with your family and really just enjoy every moment. And it's going to be a story that can be passed on to the next generation, hearing from the source of the story, right? A lot of times when your parents tell you their stories, you tell it to your kids, but it doesn't have the same clarity, right? Like you forget little details. Have your parents be a part of it, and I think you're going to be so, so happy with it. The website is yourheritagefilm.com, 713-893-8341. That is Heritage Films at yourheritagefilm.com, 713-893-8341. And we're back here on TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We're in the Rollo Insurance Studio. We're going to go back to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. I think we should probably hit a break here soon because we're way off clock. But let's get a couple text messages before we close out with Portal Talk with Billy and, of course, Vegas Talk.
Okay.
What do you have?
I have, it's kind of a long text. Do I have time to read it?
I mean, we can do what you want to do.
Okay.
Oh, he's back.
About this is from Spencer in Denver, about the season.
Okay.
One summary can be attached to the wins and losses. That's what people do. We're all disappointed. For the first time in 2 decades, A&M played for something meaningful. We came up short.
First time in 2 decades?
That's what he said, yeah.
I mean, I think 2020 season they played for something meaningful, but okay. I guess I understand what you mean. They weren't going to the SEC championship game if they won. I get that. Okay.
But then he said 2024 was one of the most successful seasons, not because of wins and losses, but rather we found a head coach who has not 1 ounce of fluff in his jeans. It's all about football. Mike Elko has a plan to build a team, something that has been missing at A&M in forever. A team is what he's building, a team that competes until time has expired. They give 100%, play for each other. They respect the school and the people who supported. 2024 was one of the most successful seasons in Aggie football history. Life is not about the wins and losses, it's about the journey. Elko has us on the journey to build a championship football team. We're in good shape.
Yeah, good text. I mean, I think wins and losses do matter, but I understand what his point was. Billy, we are way off the clock, so maybe we do one quick topic and then hit a break. Shamar Stewart going to the NFL draft.
Is that a quick topic?
Maybe not.
I feel like we'll come back and talk about portal and NFL and things like that because the portal opened today, and I know Bronny and Howell have a lot of stuff that's already gone out. They did an in-house visit. There's more going out. But these decisions, like Shamar Stewart, that one, like Shamar could go in the first round of the NFL draft.
Mm-hmm.
It's not guaranteed, but he could. I would say if you made me bet money one way or the other, we can talk about Shamar coming out of the break. Cam Dewberry also just went in. Yep. You're seeing depth guys go, and then your high-end guys go to the NFL. So it's like, which battles of those is Mike Elko going to win? Which with every one, it exponentially makes your team better the following season. These ones are not ones that you're going to win. You're not going to keep like a Cam Dewberry who's been a backup for 3 years and a spot starter who's got 1 year of eligibility left. Like Cam Dewberry should go play somewhere and start. He needs to pick the right school. This is his shot. Like, he can play football. He's done it here, but he wasn't likely to start here, and he knows that. You're going to have in 2024 a very difficult time keeping those guys. You can't just hoard depth.
Right.
You have to go recruit depth back through the portal, and then you hope that you go get someone better than what left. But for Cam, I'm a big supporter of Cam Dewberry. He's had a great attitude here. He's played a lot of football in the SEC at A&M, and he should go start somewhere. And so, again, like Cam, pick the right place, make sure you go where you can start, play a whole year of football as a starter, and give yourself a chance. It's not just about the next level. It's about give yourself a chance just to go play a whole season and be a big dog up there, somewhere. So I'm rooting for him. You can't keep those type guys, though, in today's college football. So you have to go just find another one somewhere. And then with Shamar Stewart, he could have come back and really helped himself and gotten a big amount of NIL money. But when you've got that first round potential, and he's been here 3 years and played a ton of football, I get it. And I didn't think A&M could keep him. I think he's making. I don't think he had a wrong decision to make. Let's put it that way. I think wherever he goes in the first round, he could have gone higher. He also could have come back and gotten injured. And by the way, Shamar was injured most of this season. I think it started in the Arkansas game, maybe the week before. Shamar it looked like, every week he was dealing with. I remember watching him walk off the field after Arkansas. I thought we won't see him for a couple of weeks. He was in such pain. They were helping him off the field from one of those hits. So Totally get it. Rooting for him. We'll talk more about him in the NFL when we come back.
All right, right now we're talking about Southwood Valley Animal Hospital. Dr. Justin Casares, Dr. Lauren Casares, they're great people, great Aggies, and they've took over ownership there in 2022. But this is a place that's been around for over 30 years here in the Brazos Valley. They take care of Aggies all over the place, and one thing I can guarantee you is you're going to get great routine veterinary services, the great wellness visits, emergency, sick, surgical cases, you name it. Their team will knock it out for you, and they provide an advanced medical care at affordable prices. They take care of students in the community, and of course, the TexAgs subscribers and listeners. So if you listen to this show and you call up Southwood Valley Animal Hospital, they're going to take great care of you. They'll give you the TexAgs 12 discount. Tell the receptionist you're a TexAgs listener, and you're going to get $12 off for being a new client. They hook up the students as well. So if you tell them you're a student, watch out for a discount as well. Their number, 979-693-9898. That is 979-693-9898. Or go to southwoodvalleyvet.com. That is southwoodvalleyvet.com. As a reminder, the final segment of the show is brought to you by Double Dave's. That's at 10:50. But right now, caller number 12, 979-693-1150 will hook you up with your choice of a dozen pepperoni rolls or a large one-topping pizza from Double Dave's. They've been serving Aggieland since 1984 with your favorite pizza and, of course, those world-famous pepperoni rolls. Reliable in-house delivery, bringing piping hot goodness straight to your door. Just click on doubledaves.com, and your favorites are on their way. And as a reminder, they are not open on Mondays. We've got a caller on the Boss Firearms hotline. Sam wants to talk a little Texas versus Georgia, so let's go straight to it. Sam, welcome to TexAgs Live. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing okay. I got a question.
Yes, sir.
During the Georgia game, Texas was on offense, and they threw a deep pass, and Kirby Smart was running with the defensive back and the receiver down the wide line, waving his clipboard over his head. Should not have been some kind of unsportsmanlike or something. They're not supposed to be on the white stripe, but yet he was running with them and waving his clipboard over his head. I thought he was trying to distract the receiver.
Interesting. Is that it? I'll tackle that one if you want. Do you have a second part to that?
You didn't see that?
No. I'm saying, was that your question or comment? Because I'll answer that one for you.
My question, yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Should there have been some kind of unsportsmanlike or something?
Thank you.
Or a warning?
I appreciate you calling in. Kirby Smart is a damn lunatic, and I say that in a complimentary manner. He's like a throwback SEC ball coach.
Yeah.
He's crazy, and he's even crazier during the game. And so is, don't forget, Will Muschamp's on that staff too. So there might be enough SEC, like the SEC lunatic ball coach factor in that room is off the charts on that staff, just from those two.
Yep.
And I don't know how their young DC is. I know he's the guy A&M got everybody latched on to. I still don't think he'll get a head job even after this year. He's doing a great job there, though. He's an up-and-comer. Dan Lanning is a football SEC lunatic that's now coaching at Oregon in the Big Ten. I love those dudes. I love them. I don't know any of those three, but I love the way they are dial-wired to coach college football. And Georgia plays like they're coached by Kirby Smart and Will Muschamp. I don't know what. Nuño's on the run. Uh-oh. Here we go.
Nope.
Here we go. So, anywho, I think Kirby does a lot of things you could probably flag during the game. These coaches that have to, I think you walk the line of being idiotic when you have to have the get back coach grabbing you from behind, like I forget which Florida State coach that was back in Jimbo's era. It might have been, I don't think it was Jimbo, it might have been actual Jimbo. But these coaches, I mean, you saw Jimbo run out onto the field during a fumble return last year against Auburn, where the Auburn guy went between him and the sideline. So, yeah, these things that coaches get a little insane. I shouldn't say much, though, because we've got a basketball coach that I don't understand how he is that far on the court throughout the game. It's the basketball coaches are the worst. Like, they get so far out there. It's actually, you can't even believe that they're not getting teed up or whatever. So, yeah, fine, call flag. I just don't think I think Texas had other things that they could have done to help themselves than Kirby getting flagged. And part of it is pretty ironic how many times they got called for holding. If I was a Texas fan, I'd have been frustrated with that too. You know why? Because I saw it the week before with A&M, where Texas wasn't getting called for the holds. I saw it the 5 weeks before that, where A&M has not been the recipient of an offensive holding penalty in like 6 or 7 games. So I get it, Longhorn fans. I get it. And it was a pretty big discrepancy. It was ironic, though, to hear Coach Sark clamoring for penalties to be called on Georgia there at halftime.
We have another caller on hold. Let's hold that thought because we're running out of time. We have 2 segments that we have to fill out, and we still haven't talked really portal. So why don't we hit a break here, Billy, come back with portal, and if we have time for Spencer on the other side, we'll take Spencer on the other side, but we got some stuff to hit. Right now, Milliken Reserve Farm-to-Table Community in College Station, they got farms, they got trails, they got wide open spaces with a mission to build a healthy community around nature, and they've done so by just dedicating their life to a beautiful sanctuary, a place that you can go outside and just enjoy nature, enjoy family, enjoy community. They have all the native species that find their homes there in the preserved woods, from white-tailed deer, songbirds, rabbits, and turtles. And homeowners at Milliken Reserve sharing a legacy of conservation, which means generation after generation, you're coming back to that pristine countryside place. You can learn more at millikenreserve.com. Again, that website is millikenreserve.com. We're back here on TexAgs Live. 6 minutes left in the program. Billy, let's talk portal, shall we?
Okay.
Ins, outs. Well, nobody's in just yet, but visitors this week. And just where do you want to start with it?
Well, we'll cover. We don't have enough time here to cover the portal in, which started today, and again, I think you'll get the best coverage possible here on TexAgs starting. That started up last night with their in-house visit, and we'll go from there. But I said yesterday, you're going to see more big names, more proven guys, more I think just the excitement level for fans will be higher this time around in the portal, which doesn't really matter because they're also going to slip in guys that you're going to go, oh, who's that? And you're going to look up and they might be starting or be a key contributor next year.
Yep.
But I think A&M's got a little bit more of an arsenal this season. They've got some momentum under year one under Mike Elko. They've had more time to ramp up and be prepared for this portal, so they're going to go in with a lot more to take to the party than they did a year ago. And you're going to see that in the results of who they get. You're going to see a lot of stuff happen here pretty quickly, and then you're going to see more moving on. Zeno coming in as a quarterback from UAB, San Antonio product. Some people might remember him coming in the Big 12 championship game years ago. I think he launched a deep ball for a touchdown coming off the bench. Had a really nice couple of years at UAB. I could absolutely see him coming in and being your veteran quarterback next year behind Marcel. So, and a guy that can, compete. You want to bring someone in with experience. You have to, and it's a 1-year deal. So I could see that I'm feel pretty good about that working out for A&M. As far as Shamar going in, the scouts I've talked to all year, every time they'd come down to see somebody else and they'd call me on their way to their next stop going, Shamar Stewart, like number 4. Like, I remember this summer someone saying he looks like Clowney, but he's more gifted athletically. Now, he didn't have the production at Clowney, and that's where he could have come back and said, hey, you only had a couple sacks this year. You for whatever reason, you weren't finishing, finishing at the quarterback. There's no reason that number shouldn't bump up to 7, 8, 9, 10 with all the football you've played, and just put it all together, and your draft stock go up from like late first, early second to comfortably in the top 10. That's how talented he is. But the thing about Shamar, he works hard. He's a great person on and off the field.
Yes,
people rave about him that come through and meet with him. He's going to be a great pro. He's going to be a better pro than he was here. He stayed through a coaching change. He stayed through 5 and 7. He stayed through the down years under Jimbo when everyone in his class practically left. Everyone left. And Shamar Stewart is going to be, he and Le'Veon Moss will probably be, and I might be forgetting someone, I'm sorry, there probably is someone, but those two stand out as the only two in the number 1 class ever that are going to come through, finish all the way, and be high level draft picks that lived up to the high 4 or 5-star national top 100 ranking. And he did it all the time with class. He played through injury, he played hurt, he showed toughness. I'm looking forward to seeing where he goes. And the NFL, people are really excited about him. He could be A&M's next first-round draft pick.
All right, that's going to do it, Billy.
And could be the only first-rounder out of that class, which is incredible. That you go with the number 1 class of all time, and it might produce one. And it's a maybe with Shamar. He's going to work out his way on up, I believe, because he's so gifted. And Le'Veon comes back from the injury, but again, as a running back, it's pretty difficult to get up there in round 1. But that's it. And you wonder what at times held this team back this year, and it was that class has not. It's obvious they could do it 30 for 30 on that class.
They will.
I don't know about that.
No, I think they will. Okay. Somebody will.
Well, somebody does it. Why don't we?
Yeah, we might. Thank you, Billy.
All right.
All right, that's going to do it for TexAgs Live here on a Monday. Appreciate everybody listening in and being a part of the show. We will talk to you mañana.